Hey guys, for this video I want to share with you a tier list of Sunbreak monsters. I know it is a really personal opinion, so let me know if you agree or not. Every monster is going to have a timestamp, and there is going to be some unpopular opinions. I have already done this for Rise monsters, so this one is just to be about Sunbreak. I'll leave a link in the description in case you are interested about it. And I won't be using the classic table of tier list cause I find it boring. Let's begin with the first monster we fight in Sunbreak, Daimyo Hermitaur. While it is not the most exciting monster, I like the simplicity it has, and also because Generations was my first monster hunter, and you end up fighting it a good number of times. But what about Sunbreak? There is a nice synergy from its moves and how the lance is able to dance around them. It is a decent introductory monster, not overly complicated or easy. In my book, it is B tier. It is fun to fight, but maybe a bit forgettable. Blood Orange Bishaten is an entertaining monster, in my opinion less annoying than the common Bishaten, and just because of that I like to fight it from time to time. Nonetheless, it is one of those monsters that doesn't require that much practice to quickly turn it into a punching bag, so it is more about bullying the monsters to no end, turning these fights into something boring in the long run. It is a tier. While I find it entertaining, maybe it is too simple. Aurora Somnacanth is a monster that I like and hate at the same time, because at the beginning of Sunbreak, while adapting your first master rank builds, you may end up losing some comfy skills. Some of you know that I love defensive builds, but the first time I fought against Aurora, I was having a hard time because this monster has several moves that hit quite hard, and for the afflicted version is a lot of cheap damage. Right now it is not much of an issue, but in its time, I like to fight it because of the challenge and hated it because of that cheap damage. It is B tier. Gold Rathian. I like to fight the normal Rathian or even the pink one in other entries, but Gold Rathian is something like a mix that I like a lot, because it is an interesting fight with terrible multipliers at the beginning, but it turns into a dynamic fight as the time passes, between incandescent state, rage and breaking the head. Plus this Rathian has the best kind of poison, so committing small mistakes can turn the hunt into a nice challenge. I truly enjoy when the battle has something like different small stages, rather than the classic encounter where pretty much is just normal, rage, tired, rinse and repeat. To me this one is A tier. Silver Rathalos is a similar case as Gold Rathian. I simply love this fight because of how dynamic it is. One with poison, the other one with blue fire. While in essence they are pretty much the same, I find it also entertaining to fight. It is also A tier. Scorned Magnamalo was the first big step when Sunbreak was released, because you need master rank 100 to unlock it, and I remember really well how that week I was farming monsters to no end. Finding this beast in such a high rank didn't disappoint. For some reason it feels like Rise mascot, and fighting a stronger variant was of my liking, because it moves all over the place, and I am sure that many people got carted from that first classic move it does while finding it. It is A tier. I find it really entertaining. Lucent Nargacuga was one of those first monsters we received in title updates, and what extraordinary monster this one is. Having those invisible times and just looking for the wraith traces in mid-air turns this fight into something really great. Of course, it gives enough time to react, but at first it was kinda easy to get caught off guard because of those moves. I really like fighting this monster. It is A tier. Violet Mizutsune was a great change, and several builds being improved a lot because of those Hakama. The fight it provides is just really good. I like to fight the classic Mizutsune, but once I found this one, in all honesty, I don't really want to fight the other Mizutsune, because its fight is a whole experience between the classic moves and fire everywhere. Now I say this as a casual because if you dominate the fight like the Orange Blood Bishaten, personally it turns into something boring after a while. But this monster is one of those that will require a good amount of time to master, and I speak for myself. It is S tier for me. Extraordinary fight. Garangolm is an oversized and chunkier Rajang. While it is true that I find its design entertaining, maybe it is way slow. That is also another thing I've said quite a number of times. I prefer fast-paced battles, instead of these ones where it feels like everything is going in slow motion. Now, looking at the realistic side, being some of the first Sunbreak monsters, it makes perfect sense to me that Garangolm is this slow. Not quite hard, but definitely entertaining to fight. It is B tier. Shogun Cenataur is pretty much like fighting another Hermitaur but with scissors. In all honesty, this one is kinda boring for me, because it really is quite similar to Hermitaur. While it has one of those rare elements, it is not as common or as annoying as other ones. So this battle at first it's so-so, but at least for me it loses its charm quite fast. It is C tier. Magma Almudron is another monster that I thought I was going to hate because of how menacing it looked. And I had not the best of experiences with the normal Almudron in base Rise, up until I fought it lots and lots of times. Maybe there was a bit of expectation from my side and I was disappointed once I fought against it while starting in Sunbreak. Maybe it was because I fought so many Almudrons that this one became a bit too predictable. It is D tier. Yeah, I had fun with it, but there is something in this fight that is just flashy but not that impressive. Lunagaron. I am sure some of you are sick of watching me fight this monster, but there is something in the dynamic of this battle that I found really attractive. From the moves, to how it changes as the battle flows, and maybe after hunting it over 140 times it loses its charm, nonetheless is a battle that I enjoy a lot. S tier. Astalos. Not the first time hunting this monster, so I knew a good number of its tricks and it was an entertaining fight, but for some reason I ended up forgetting that this monster exists. And once I started making this video I was like, oh my god, how many times have I fought against this thing, and yep, completely forgotten. There is a lot of synergy with the classic lance moves, but if it became that obscure of a fight to me, there is not that much I can say. D tier. Espinas. I know I would like to have more monsters like this one, where elements become a meme, but they are something to behold. When I saw Paralysis, Poison and Fire together, I fell in love with this spiky monster. While its weapons aren't as dynamic as I would like them to be, this fight is quite entertaining. And when I saw Flaming Espinas, I knew I was going to love that fight too. And some cards later, yep, I was fighting this duo to no end. As it is not the most common fight, you find them sleeping and once they get enraged is where the party starts. So yep, I like them both, A and S tier respectively. Here we start with a quite peculiar family, the Magalas. There are two of them that I like, one that is quite good and the other one is more like meh, okay. Gore Magala is a battle that I was never really fond of. Maybe because it has a slow dynamic that doesn't suit me that much. While right now I can beat it without that much of an issue, it is one of those monsters I fought a couple of times and that's it. Shagaru Magala is a bit better in my book. For some reason I find it funny to fight, it may be experience, and even when sometimes I am getting moped around, I like how this battle flows. However, there is something extra that I need in this battle, something that I am able to find in chaotic Gore Magala, and that is a faster pace in the battle. While in spirit, all of these four monsters are pretty much the same, Shagaru and Chaotic, well, they are the same, but I feel a nicer pace with this one. And when it comes to recent Shagaru Magala, once again in my book it proves, because it is a good challenge. If there is something that I hate about this monster, is that it is really hard to do the classic lance tricks, or at least the ones I like with evasive maneuvers, because literally there is no room for error, and many attacks hit quite hard, and that also turns the battle for a casual like me into something kinda standard, because since I saw it, I knew changing my classic defensive builds was going to take a while, but I always appreciate a good challenge. It is D, C, B and A respectively. Then we have Steve, iconic and meme monster since its first tease. I find this fight quite good because maybe it is just me, maybe it is the sound, but hearing something like an eagle and how it bashes from one place to another, it is an interesting battle. Not so common, plus it also has a kind of forgotten ailment. To me, it is A tier. Pyre Rakna is just a Fire Rakna. We definitely need more insects in the next Monster Hunter. I find them intriguing, and oftentimes it's a different fight from the classic fleshy lizards we see all over the place. I know some people don't like them because oftentimes they have terrible multipliers here and there, but to be honest, I don't mind that in these kind of monsters, so most of the times I find them entertaining to fight. It is B tier. For the other recent monsters, there are two of them that I like a lot, one that is okay and one that is not for me. Recent Kushala is a monster that I like to fight, because despite being slow in its movements, it matches perfectly the classic lance moves, and it is an easy fight in its core mechanics, but I find it satisfying to go mad against this monster. Recent Chamy is also quite good. Kinda slow, but having attacks with those amazing area of effect is great. Definitely better than the normal counterpart, and up to a good challenge if that poison is taken lightly, as there are several moves that you can easily survive, but because that extra poison damage, you can get carted with this. Recent Toster is not of my liking. I know I like fast-paced battles, but this one is more like I place a little mine here, another one there, then I'll do a crappy move and everything explodes. If you are too close to me, you will receive hit damage. In summary, it is not a fight for me. Once you catch to the moves, it is entertaining, but for some reason I don't really like to fight this monster. And recent valstrax is another valstrax. Being honest, I found this one as the laziest approach possible. It has pretty much the same moves, and there isn't that much I can say. Wow, it is extraordinary! It ambush attack is funny to watch, but just adding some extra fire is lazy to me. It is S, S, B and C respectively. Malzeno. The first time I fought against this one in the demo, I knew it was changed like the first Magnamalo we tested back in Rise. And I kept my expectations low, because I am sometimes a masochist regarding good challenges. It was a good approach because this Elder was extraordinary, having it move from one place to another as if controlling space and time made the experience entertaining. But when Primordial Malzeno was thrown into the fray, it is clear to me that Primordial is way beyond the normal Malzeno we fight. There is a great synergy between the moves and the lance. It is possible to jump through several attacks, but also it increases the speed as the battle flows, B and the S tier respectively. Velkhana is another monster that I had no idea that was going to appear here. And maybe it is my unpopular opinion, but it is kinda similar to Kushala. If there is something that I have to say extra, I prefer this Velkhana's version compared to World. The negative part about this one is that there's no afflicted version, so it is more like you fight it a couple of times and you forget about it. It is B tier. Furious Rajang. Some of you know that I thrashed this monster because it was so washed down that I didn't even want to look at it. But Master Rank fits a good chunk of my complaints, with both variants. But Furious Rajang is what the normal Rajang in my humble opinion should be. It is a fast-paced battle that I love beginning to end. And it also has the kind of synergy I like with Lance, being able to avoid or counter a lot of attacks. S tier. Seething Baglegoos. Another story that pretty much explained itself. I've hunted these monsters to no end, because they are entertaining to fight for me, and along that soundtrack is the perfect match. And of course, the version that I love the most is in Master Rank. While the normal Basil in Master Rank didn't meet my expectations, Seething Basil was better, S tier. Giasmagorm is an interesting topic of conversation because it can be perceived as a wasted opportunity with a bonus title update, and yeah, in all honesty I thought it was going to make an impressive appearance, however it didn't, and one part of me is glad about it. Giasma is a monster that is so colossal that it makes the pace of the battle into something slow, but extraordinary in its own way. I really like it, all those slow but crazy moves that it has. If there is something I don't like about these final boss battles, is that they feel orchestrated for my taste. It is A tier. And last but not least, Amatsu. This one is going to be a really unpopular opinion, but for me this monster is just a flash encounter. Usually when I fight a new monster, I can feel a bit of tension about not wanting to get carded, but for some reason with this one, at the mid-fight I lost all my interest. Yes, I was going through the motions, but I felt like it was flashier than I wanted it to be. And once I saw similar scenes as All Mother, it completely lost me. If there is something I like about this fight, is the funny sound while collecting stuff in this particular quest. Other than that, it is forgettable, D tier. And that's it! Pretty much whatever offers an extraordinary challenge or a quite interesting fast-paced battle, it's going to have a good mark in my book. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.